What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Yankees Avenue Show on the Yankees Avenue YouTube channel. As usual, I'm Patrick Hennessy. That's Sam Rourke. Dan, how are we doing today?
Dude, I'm doing all right, to be honest with you. Like, it's been known that the Yankees are not a good team, and they are now under 500. So I've accepted that. I'm ready to talk some ball with you today. On the topic of talking to you, I'm doing good because of that. I'm happy to see you. We did not have a Monday episode this week. Blame me, blame PSE and G, who kind of like tapped the whole power of my town. Went dark for a couple hours, couldn't do it. But we are here today. I'm glad to be back with you. I'm not glad about the current state of the Yankees, which we will talk about in depth today. But how are you?
Yeah, no, it feels great to be back. Yeah, bro, we need 2 episodes a week. I'm blaming the Jersey Shore. Like, bro, first of all, who even lives in the Jersey Shore? I don't get it.
It's a summer
But
home.
yeah, okay, that's fine. But yeah,
Nice,
no,
nice.
we're on episode 99. Episode 100 is on Tuesday now. It kind of like worked out because we had something planned because it's also the 1 year anniversary of the Yankees Avenue Show on Tuesday. So make sure you're here on Tuesday as well because we have a very, very, very special episode. But
I
yeah,
was gonna say time flies, dude. I mean, I'll probably talk about it more
no, I
next
know.
week when we hit episode 100. But holy crap, time is flowing, dude.
Isn't that great? Like episode 100.
I know. And you ever go back to watch like episode one?
Yeah,
I don't
and
want to say
bro,
we've come that long away, but we've kind of come a long way.
no, and also the people that doubted the show in the beginning because
Oh,
they were like,
stop, bro. Nobody cared. Nobody doubted nothing. But we
what
were
do you
very
mean?
appreciative of those who I don't think we had haters per se.
No,
I
no,
think we
no, 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 no,
gradually.
no, not, it wasn't haters. It was people being like, oh, these guys are trying to do a show together again.
Oh, okay. Respect on that. Respect on that. You're right. You're right, Valid.
But yeah,
Let's talk
no,
ball.
an interesting show today, to say the least. This is our first show of the season where the Yankees are under 500. So, well, we have a lot to talk about as far as that goes and just the downfall of the 2023 New York Yankees. Before we do that, though, I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, FOCO. We'd be nowhere without them. Use code Yankees Avenue at checkout, save 15% off your purchase. We'll show you guys some stuff later, but let's get into topic number one. And we're fresh off a sweep of the Atlanta Braves. And also, we didn't talk to you guys since then, but they also lost 2 out of 3 to the Miami Marlins in a devastating series. But let's focus on just the current state of the New York Yankees. They're 60 and 61. They're under 500. Currently 7 games out of a wild card spot, which is, I mean, season is basically over at this point, right? I think last time I checked, Fangraphs had them at like a 6% chance of making the playoffs. It's
Oh,
got
it's
to be
down to
even
three.
lower.
Down to
Yeah,
three. I just checked.
it's not looking good. I think in order to make the playoffs, they'd have to go like, I don't know, 30-8 at this point, something crazy. But yeah, I think as of right now, I'm speaking for myself. Maybe I'm speaking for you too, but it's kind of a nice feeling to know that like our season is over. And when
Oh,
I
it's
say that,
great. I'm
no,
thriving.
no, no, no. When I
Yeah.
say that, I mean that we're not in limbo anymore, right? We're not in a period of, oh, are the Yankees gonna get hot and finally like get over the slump, or are they finally gonna like wake up and become a good team? Like, no, we've realized at this point the New York Yankees are not making the playoffs this year. The Yankees are not a good baseball team, and they need dramatic changes. Now, whether or not those changes will happen, we'll see. But as of right now, we know who the Yankees are, and it's not up in the air anymore. So it's a little bit relieving in that aspect, but obviously it's still frustrating that they're a very unentertaining watch at this point. But yeah, how are you feeling about the current state of the team?
I mean, bro, unentertaining, or I mean, that's not even the half of it, dude. It's a dread to watch this team now. And yeah, as for being under 500, it is the first time since 1995 that they are 121 games in the season under 500. And they did make the playoffs that year because they finished 27-7. But of course, that's not going to happen with this team, dude. It's a dumpster fire. And like you said, we've kind of been, or we have been knowing this. This isn't exactly news, and it is a nice feeling in a way because while yes, I turn on the game in the first inning, I'm in tune to it, and I'm rooting for this team every time I turn it on. I'm like, let's go Yankees, let's win today. But very quickly it goes away. This is a different level of terrible baseball team. This surpasses what I saw in 2013, 2014, and 2016, which are the 3 teams that I've seen you two miss the playoffs. They're unwatchable, and it's not just a matter of obviously the injuries and like watching players who shouldn't be on the Yankees. Like, dude, even Stanton's at bats now are brutal. Gleyber Torres, who, yes, had a nice season, but I think we're back on the spin of where we got to criticize him a little bit. Double plays every single at bat. It's horrible to watch. Brutal, terrible. I mean, I was cheering on Luis Severino on Tuesday, celebrating him in a way for having a good start, allowing 5 runs because he looked good, right? Like, that's where I'm at as a Yankees fan now. It's all just, dude, like, we're done. We were absolutely
Yeah.
done. We're under 500 in 2023. It's unbelievable. We know who it falls on. We probably won't talk about him too much today. I know we're a broken record about it being all on Brian Cashman, but it's crazy that we've come to this point, dude. There's only so much I can say about it, but yeah, like the fate's accepted. This team isn't going anywhere. We know that.
Yeah, and you don't think it's like a little bit of a relieving feeling? It's kind of just like we're not sitting here wondering and waiting anymore. It's kind of just like, yo, if they do go on some sort of insane run and do make the playoffs, we'll all be in shock. But we know that they're not making the playoffs, and it's kind of just like, no, it sucks. I can't even try to sugar it. Like it sucks
No,
we're
well,
going into
in a way,
September. Like,
it's like it cuts the torture a little bit short.
but can
I
I ask you a
enjoy the
question?
torture though. Yeah, like but real quick, I'd rather be in the race until the end of September and then get bounced. Like that's just a
Okay,
better because dude, like
that's
I think about this show. Like it sucks. We have another 6 weeks of talking about basically an irrelevant baseball team, which is a position I never really thought I'd be in as a Yankee fan.
yes, and that's the question I was going to ask you. We kind of got the answer to it, but would we have preferred this, where it's like we know in August now we're out of the race, rather than yo we get to October 1st and the Yankees finish the season one game out of a wild card spot? I
Here's where so I'll going back to the conversation of we talk about do you want the Yankees to miss playoffs because it'll lead to changes. Knowing they're definitely not going to make it. And that's a different conversation of do I want them to make the playoffs or not to get them to make changes. Knowing they're not going to make it, I'd rather it be honestly, a dumpster fire the rest of the way. I'll say this, dude, I don't want to finish the season below 500. They haven't done it since 1992. 30 straight years. Like that is an impressive streak of always having a winning season, being 500 or above. I would like to maintain that. But with that said, and maybe I'm crazy for thinking that because if they bottom out, that's our best possible chance at a change. And it's getting to the point now where, dude, something has to happen. Things are so bad that now I am getting a little bit more faith, which was kind of completely depleted a week ago when that story came out about that Cashman's not going anywhere. Boone probably is. Things are getting so colossally bad now that I am starting to think maybe it's possible Cashman goes. Because how could this go on? How could Hal look at this organization and where it's gotten to, led by Brian Cashman, and say it's okay? Because if you bring him back, that's saying it's okay. So knowing we're not going to make playoffs, like kind of to answer your question, dude, I want to bottom out pretty much as possible while also acknowledging that I finishing below 500 would like make me puke. Like that's horrible, but maybe that is what needs to happen.
Yeah, no, I think it's fair. And I think it goes back to the conversation we've had so many times where it's as a Yankee fan or as a fan of any sports team, can you root for your team to lose? And I think we're kind of in a situation now where I'm not rooting for them to lose, but I don't care if they win. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
There might be more to gain from losing.
I'm trying to evaluate how I felt in this Brave series. So, and this was really the nail in the coffin. So everything I'm talking about now is still a new feeling in a way. Like maybe Miami did it for me. I mean, that game 3, that was what, the 9th worst loss of the season, probably. I don't know. That kind of was a nail in the coffin, sure. But even this Brave series, game 1, I was like, at bats are looking good the first couple innings, and they were winning like 2-1. I was like, all right, baseball's weird. Let's take 2 out of 3. Let's do something funky. You got the Red Sox this week, and maybe we can get some energy. So it's like the first couple innings, I was still a little bit of life in me, having some hope. I would say, I mean, obviously that game didn't go well. And then game 2, game 3, it's just, yeah, dude, maybe I'm still a sucker. I don't know. But like, it's still a very fresh feeling for me having accepted this defeat. So I'm sure come this weekend, like, I'm going to turn on the game and be like a little bit hyped to watch an inning or two and think, oh, maybe there's a chance. But we're at the point now, like I'm fooling myself, telling myself that. Anybody who says, and I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but like, we're done. We know we're done. So,
Yes.
yeah.
And that's why I guess you could kind of ask the question now for diehard Yankee fans specifically. What's one reason to give people to watch the Yankees moving forward? Because I could think of one, and I think we both know the route I'm going down here. Garrett Cole is the only reason I still want to watch New York Yankees, right? Every 5th day, we're going out and we're watching the front-running 2023 AL Cy Young. And
Yes.
unless something crazy happens, he's going to win that award. So it's a little bit of a nice feeling being able to watch greatness every 5th day. But other than that, bro, like when also shout out to Randy Vasquez. He pitched well against the Braves.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's like, bro, I can't watch Luis Severino starts anymore. I think 2023 Luis Severino might be the worst pitcher I've ever seen in my lifetime. And even offensively,
Pat, he probably is.
No, I know.
He
But
literally
statistically,
statistically the worst pitcher
is.
we've ever seen in our baseball watching lifetime. But go on.
And offensively, I know Judge has been good coming back from the IL, but he doesn't feel like Aaron Judge. You know what I mean? And offensively, we don't have anybody else where I'm excited to watch their at bats every time they come up to the plate. So right now, the only reason I have for watch the New York Yankees is to watch Garrett Cole's Cy Young run. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally fair. I would say he's like the lead number one story there with this question. I would more so just go the overall narrative of how bad the Yankees are. And it is in a way on the, a way I wouldn't want to ever be experiencing, but it's fascinating where they are. The collapse of the New York Yankees. We are witnessing, and I shouldn't say the collapse because it wasn't really a great start to the season, but the way this year is going, dude, I think the narrative of it, the story behind it could lead to something very, very interesting. I would like to think so. And just following that, like this dumpster fire, like it's rare. Like this is a story in itself.
Yeah.
I mean, we've
No.
had some struggling times before, and like, we'll complain after getting bounced from the ALCS, making the playoffs, rightfully so, as we should. We have big expectations as New York Yankees, like they lay out for us to have. But this is a new level of bad. And it's something that I know I never seen before. I didn't think I'd really see anytime soon, but I'm witnessing it. And because I'm a fan, I'm going to be there when hopefully they come back up. Like, I'm like immersing myself as part of this. Like, I'm going to really feel the lows of this for hopefully when we're back up on top in a couple of years, probably to the efforts of a new GM, hopefully, because I don't think Brian Cashman's got to get it done. But like just the story of how bad they are, like that to me is fascinating. Not reason like turning to even be like, yo, I'm pumped to watch this, but in terms of just following the rest of the way, this is fucking crazy. The Yankees are under 500 and it's August 16th. Unbelievable. So that alone,
Yeah.
like that is my story. Like that's why I'm watching and why I'm following.
I think it's fair. And I just think it's disappointing that we won't be able to watch them make a playoff run. And I think it won't hit me deeper until we get into like late September. And it's like we're watching other teams play really like we're gonna watch the Blue Jays playing meaningful games. And I don't know. It's just gonna be a difficult pill to swallow. But that's just what we're dealing with. And to play devil's advocate, I think an excuse that they could use is like everything that could have went wrong this season went wrong, right? Like Carlos Rodon, a non-factor. Luis Severino, a non-factor. Nestor Cortez, a non-factor. Judge missed a lot of time. Stanton, non-factor. DJ, non-factor. Rizzo, non-factor. So everyone who was maybe a question mark, it leaned in the negative direction. So that it happens sometimes, and this was just one of those seasons, and it's unfortunate that they didn't realize it earlier. And I hate going back to the trade deadline, but I think they realized that the season was lost a little bit
Right.
early.
But that's where like all the Yankees have had some bad luck this year. There's no
They
denying
have.
that. But the bad luck, it's of course no excuse, and not that you're saying it is,
Can we
but
call it
it
luck
took them
though?
down from the bad luck took them down from being a playoff team to a team that's hovering right around 500. So while yes, they may have been better if Judge hadn't missed 2 months and if Rizzo hadn't had that concussion, and if Stanton never got hurt, there's still what? Like in the end, in 2023 Yankees, the true form of this team is probably a 90 win team. But we weren't worried going into this year about being 500. This is just an added kick in the fucking face that we are. What the concern was is this team didn't improve essentially to be better than the Astros for the most part. They're not good enough to get to the World Series. So no matter what, even if we were 10 games over right now, ultimately we'd probably still have the same conversation come October. This team wasn't good enough. And that in itself is a fucking crime. So
Yeah,
regardless
no,
of where
I
we
agree.
finished, like we weren't headed to the promised land regardless, no matter what.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. But I think I want to get into topic number two. And since we're kind of talking about the current state of the team and kind of the lifelessness of them, I feel
Yep.
like a lot of eyes have to be pointed at Aaron Judge at this point, especially because, bro, I mean, you check Twitter during this Brave series, there's a few different, I know a lot of people might not care about this, but there's quite a few screenshots of him being like giddy, haha, teehee, Aaron Judge, while the Yankees are getting swept by the Braves and just having an absolute disastrous season. One of which was, I believe, after someone hit into a double play and he was kind of like laughing on the base paths with someone on the Braves. And then another one was him in the dugout laughing.
Yep.
And when asked about the Yankee struggles, I think after game 2 of the Brave series,
Mm-hmm.
he said, "We're not showing up. That's what it comes down to." And as the Yankees captain now, in the first year of his mega contract coming off one of the greatest seasons of all time last year, how much of the Yankees just downward spiral, I guess you could call it, how much of that blame do you think falls on Aaron Judge as the Yankees captain?
I think I may surprise some people here. I think there is a little bit of blame to put on him, not for where the season is headed. I don't think Aaron Judge, by any means, in terms of leadership, is responsible for where this team is at. Like, I don't think if he. Here's the way I feel. I think the smiling is ridiculous. I think the attitude around this team, the lackadaisical, whether it's true or not, it does appear that at times they don't care. And even the post-game interviews from Judge, I haven't been a fan of. The overall temperament of this team during this stretch, I haven't been a fan of whatsoever. And that's the one thing that you can point towards like the responsibility of a captain. Not saying he could fix that and be the be all end all, but his job is to keep that a little bit in check. And while it doesn't mean like, oh, if the Yankees were, miserable and the Yankees were frowning all the time, which a lot of times when you go shoot to the dugout, they are like the vibe in there is miserable. But then, yeah, sometimes you see them, these smiles, and whether it's Judge or not, I mean, sometimes I feel like a lot more often it's other players, but that's still something that Judge should correct. And yeah, I'm not saying that if that were the case, that they're all miserable, that they'd be playing better. No. But when it comes to optics, it's just not a good look. It grinds my gears, drives me crazy every time I see it. So no, I don't think it's resulting to like actually wins and losses per se, but it's just a horrible look. And I know for a fact you wouldn't see Jeter do it. You wouldn't see Jeter do it. And this isn't that big of like a diss on Judge, really, because in the end, I don't fucking care. The problem is the players around him aren't good enough. And I think here's kind of the issue here. I think the Yankees know that now. They know they're done. Just like the way we were talking about how we know we're done as fans. I think the Yankees know that. And I think Judge knows that. I mean, you could tell, I think Boone knows that too. We're starting to see, I mean, real quick, Boone was kind of, in a way, dissing the most you possibly could diss the front office by complimenting the hell out of the Braves lineup, saying like the lineup balance and their approach, like the players they have in there. Like it kind of seems, in a way, we're getting to the point now where all guards are off, and not exactly in a good way. It's just the players know they're done, and I think Judge knows that. I think Boone knows that. I think the whole clubhouse knows that. So, yeah, which isn't a good thing. You gotta keep that locker room in check, and it doesn't all come down to him. I mean, here's one thing I'll also say about Jeter, to give Judge the benefit of the doubt. Jeter wasn't all that much of a vocal leader. And in this case, like the enforcer per se wouldn't be Jeter. It would be like a Jorge Posada. You had Jeter who led by example. And then if you need something said, oftentimes it would be Jorge. I don't know if there is that guy, a Jorge in the clubhouse for the Yankees right now, because Judge is very similar to Jeter in the fact that, yeah, he leads by example and may not be like a big rah-rah guy. You got to have multiple forms of leadership, though. I mean, you have Cole, but oftentimes that kind of goes into like,
I mean, also
like pitchers can be like, yeah, no, absolutely, for sure. But once again, I want to clarify, this is not why the Yankees are where they are. It's because they don't have good enough players. So it's an added annoyance, I'll say.
I agree. And I mean, we already know how I feel about players smiling, especially when the Yankees are losing. But I think also when it comes from Aaron Judge, the Yankees captain, Aaron Judge, it's annoying. And I think annoying is the perfect way to describe it. Like, is that the reason the Yankees aren't winning games? Is Aaron Judge the reason the Yankees aren't winning games? No. But I think it's just a really bad look. And it's not one of those things that you should even give fans ammunition for, right? I'm not saying that you need to be like sitting in the clubhouse, sitting in the dugout crying, and every time the camera points to you, like have a smug look on your face, but just don't look like you're enjoying yourself as the Yankees are losing. Just hold yourself to a higher standard, especially as the guy who's supposed to be the leader of that clubhouse. And I don't know. I know Judge is having a good season. Like, take the injury aside, he's having a great year when you look at the numbers. But for some reason, I guess maybe it's because the Yankees aren't good. I'm just not getting like vibes from Aaron Judge this year. And it might be just a weird thing to say. But even I look back to how the injury was treated from the very beginning. And it just felt very. We talked about it when the injury first happened. And the way Judge was kind of talking about it was kind of just like, oh, well. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's just how this entire season has been treated by just about everyone on the Yankees. Like, oh, whatever happens, happens. There was never any urgency. There was never any motivation. There was never any drive, at least displayed publicly. And I think now when you see such a drastic downfall and such a downward spiral, it makes it hurt even more because it makes it seem like they don't care because no one's kind of showing you that they do. One guy who does, bro, IKF. I feel like we never pan to the dugout and see IKF having a blast. And everything we've heard about IKF this season is that he's done everything possible to be a key contributor to this team. He'll play anywhere. He'll do anything. You've seen his game improve tremendously, bro. His at-bats are twice as impactful as they were last year. And I know he's had like a couple defensive miscues in the Brave series, but I don't know. It's just like things like that earn respect for me. And when I look back at the 2023 season, Judge's stats will be 10 times that of IKF's, but I don't know. I feel like it's going to stick with me that like the reason I want IKF back next year now and the reason he's won me over is because he's kind of shown optically that he cares as to whether or not the Yankees succeed. Does that make sense?
I know, yes. I think it all comes down to that word, like optics. This is much more of something that just it bothers me seeing. It's not something that actually concerns me, no, because in the end, I know Judge cares. And going back to that quote about when Judge said whatever happens, happens. I remember it looked terrible in print, and then I actually watched him say it. It was much more of a, you could tell he was frustrated. And he was like, fuck, man, like I'm going to the IL, like this is what the deal is, and then we'll see what happens. It was much more of a frustration thing. And we've seen in the past Judge play through injuries and him, like, he cares, he grinds. Like winning is very important to him. But I think, yeah, just the Yankees period have handled this pretty damn poorly. And there is like 24 out of 26 guys quite often time look like they don't care. Now, we also have to acknowledge that whenever you're struggling, it often looks like a team is flat and they do not care, especially offensively when you're struggling. But yeah, I would request less smiling if I were the Yankee captain. Not something that
I think it's
it doesn't
fair.
lower Judge at all on my like fandom totem pole. It really doesn't, because in the end, like, he's not who I'm mad at. And I think he's probably depleted as fuck with what's happened. I mean, dude, think about what happened. Like when he went down, I wonder how it felt for him watching this. It's like, yo, this is the fucking team I play for? Are you kidding me? You can't even go play 500 ball without me here?
Yeah,
Like,
and
if I were, I'm just real quick, if I were him and I'm seeing that happen, dude, like, and you come back and all this shit, it seems like around him it's gotten even worse. I mean, it feels like once he came back, then he's like, you have the Rizzo situation. Rodon's been struggling like crazy, goes on the IL. Nestor goes down. Herman goes to fucking rehab. Like, he's probably quite depleted as well, which is his job to keep that all in check and keep morale high. There's only so much you can do. So at this point, bro, I think like, my whole vibe is what I'm saying. I think everybody's done, dude. I really, really do. Like, they're looking towards 2024. Not saying that's a good thing. That's just the way that it is.
yeah, and I think two quick points I'll make on this topic. One, I saw somebody post on Twitter a picture of Cole and a picture of Judge in like their post game press conference, whatever, post game interviews, and they both look very depleted. And they were like, "Oh, like I feel so bad for Judge and Cole, right? The only two guys on this team who have been really performing on a fairly consistent basis this year." And someone replied, and they were like, "I don't feel bad for these guys making $30 million a year." Those type of people, I just have to say this, are the absolute worst. The ones who, when you're discussing a player's morale or performance or whatever, bringing up the figure of their contract is one of the most idiotic, annoying things that anybody could do as a fan. It's like, I feel like also as the Yankees, I feel like we see it so much more. We saw it a little bit more in the past when it's like Ellsbury's making $200 million to sit there and do nothing, bro. Who cares about the money? And like, especially Judge and Cole, do you really like, the money's a nice plus for sure. But if you ask Garrett Cole, would you rather make $30 million this year or win a World Series? I genuinely think Garrett Cole would prefer the World Series trophy over $30 million. I genuinely do think
I think so. I think so. I mean, dude, there's really got to get
However, there's
specific.
some players who would take the money.
I mean, I wonder. So, one more time, no question with me at all that Aaron Judge, how badly he wants to win. Same with Garrett Cole. I wonder about some of like what it's like, just generally speaking, about a team who's out of it, like impending free agents. Like I'm watching Harrison Bader today, who I love to death, and there wasn't any particular like player reason that made me think of this. But I wonder where his head's at. Are you just playing for yourself now? Is that kind of where we're at? Once again, he didn't do anything like that comes to mind to make me think this, but just he was a guy that I was thinking of, like free agent to be, team is out of it. What's a headspace like for that? Like, and I imagine that can't be like a position in your mindset that's too healthy to have for like a team technically trying to win, right? Like I think everybody's done. My point.
Yeah.
I think everybody's just done with this year, and that falls on the fact that this team was never good enough in the first place to win, and that goes to Brian Cashman.
Yeah, and one last thing I do want to say about Judge, since we're kind of on the topic, since like we're kind of viewing the Yankees as being out of it, and Judge clearly isn't playing at 100%. I'd probably say he might be less than 70% when you watch him run the bases at this point. At what point do you shut him down for the year?
Well, the thing is, he's not getting surgery in the offseason. If he were getting surgery in the offseason, I would say, shit, do it like end of the month. But as long as he's not hurting himself and it doesn't affect next season,
But
which
he
I don't
looks
think it
like
would.
he's hurting.
Well, it depends. So, like, we say he's at 75% right now. It's like each game he plays, does it go down 1%, or is he staying at 75? If not, I mean, we're seeing him play back-to-back games in right field now. Honestly, up until game 2 of the Atlanta series, I thought Judge was looking better. And then they showed a replay of him running where he really looked like he was stumbling and giving on his toe a little bit. So maybe he hasn't improved all that much. But I think no matter what, it seems, because he's not getting surgery, like Judge is going to be 100% for 2024. But also, like, what difference does it make? Come the last 2 weeks of the season, at least.
I really genuinely hope he is.
I think he is, but I couldn't blame anybody for thinking the Yankees are bullshit or just misled when they say he's not going to have surgery in the offseason, and he does. So I don't know, dude. As long as as long as it's not hurting him, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But once again, at the same time, what difference does it make? If you're out of it, you're out of it. Like, why risk it? So I understand where you're coming from. I would wait at least like the last couple of weeks of the season.
I would say
If, the
mid-September.
only thing, if there's 1% of you as a Yankee fan or me, like can like hope for potential run, right? Or whatever, if you have to dream, like, you got to be able to rattle off like 9 or 10 in a row.
Yeah.
Which isn't going to happen. But like right now, like you kind of have to get to official, like, okay, there's no mathematical chance that you have it going. So then you maybe shut him down. But,
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we'll see. Before we get into topic number 3, a little bit more happier with Tyler. Let's bring the mood up a little bit. I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, FOCO. That's FOCO. You could use code Yankees Avenue at checkout, save 15% off your purchase. Dan, where'd you get those nice little shoes you're wearing?
Crocs. Oh, you want to call them Crocs? Is that like copyright or something? So from FOCO, code Yankees Avenue, 15% off. Dude, so we're recording this Wednesday night after the game. I walked to Dunkin' in my Crocs, my FOCO Crocs.
You're what?
They were they were very comfortable. It was a nice walk. I had them in comfort mode. Thank you for instructing me last time about that. So they're cozy. I'm gonna get some bobbleheads too. I got a bunch of stuff from FOCO. I got this dope piece of wall art back here, if you can see that. Maybe I'll shine some light back there. You see that? That's nice. Yeah, Pat's got it too. Very good. And let me show you off a couple bobbleheads.
Oh, it smells
also
like
a reminder,
wood.
football season is this is so bright. Football season is coming up too. So anything Jets or Giants, you can get yourself hooked up. Let's see here. Check out my favorite bobblehead. Wait, I'll grab
Sure,
this.
Dan.
It's always my go-to.
Sure, Dan.
They got classics, they got modern shit, or a little blend of both. Then and now. Garrett Cole, Whitey Ford. This guy right here is one of the few Yankees you can be proud of this year. I'm so ready for 2024, dude. I really am. I'm ready for October.
Sad to say.
I know. I don't want to live like that, but Code Yankees Avenue, 50% off. Shout out to FOCO. But I want October to be done. I can't. And let's talk about this real quick. Are you doing any rooting for other teams?
Oh, hell yeah. So I've already I have my October mindset all mapped out. I'm a Phillies guy.
Okay,
really
at least
gonna
it's
be
National
pushing
League,
dude.
dude.
Yeah. I'm really pushing for the Phillies. Not gonna lie, I might even try. It depends how far the Phillies go in the playoffs. Might try to go to a Phillies postseason game. Not gonna lie.
All right, I mean that's fun if you want to like sling a couple claws, I guess. But no, dude, I
don't drink White Claws. That's gross.
Oh, have a beer. I mean, dude, you know I'm jealous. I wish I liked
I
beer.
don't even drink beer really.
Oh, all right, dude. I forgot Mr. Perfect on here. You don't have caffeine either. You
caffeine.
Yeah, you don't you like not like caffeine? Didn't you roast with that a
couple
weeks ago?
No, I'm not a huge coffee guy. No.
Oh. Yeah. Anyways, I couldn't do it, dude. I have I'm probably not even gonna watch this playoffs. That's normally what I do outside of having to for like working for John Boy and stuff. I couldn't bring myself to ever root for another team. Ever.
No,
like,
but
there's no team. Even I mean, I might watch like I like Bryce Harper. Cool to watch his at bats. And say the Padres stuck in, which they aren't. They're 6 games under or something. I would root for like Gary. Like I'll watch for players maybe, and I'll look.
Great season by the way.
Gary's OPS is at fucking 800. It's amazing. He's at 16 home runs. I'm incredibly happy for him.
And starting his season like 2 months late, by the way. Like keep that in mind. And he already has 16 home runs.
Gary might get a multi-year deal, dude. Like
I hope he does. I hope he does.
Anybody who has it in that's a Yankee, calls himself a Yankee fan, that could possibly root for like the Orioles or the Rangers, any American League team especially. But honestly, like I don't get it pure. Like I'm a Yankees fan and that's that. Done it in the playoffs. The rest of the teams can go rot for all I care.
I love postseason baseball. I love
me too, which is why I can't watch it, dude. If the Yankees aren't in it, or I'm gonna try to avoid it. Like I won't voluntarily turn any of these games on in the playoffs.
I get both perspectives, but like I remember one of my favorite postseasons ever watching was the 2016 postseason. That's because like I didn't have any like Yankees fandom riding on the line. And a lot of the times I don't even watch the World Series. Like 2017, I didn't watch the World Series because the Yankees just got eliminated. 2018, I didn't watch the World Series. 2019, I didn't watch. I watched Game 7 because it was a really fun game. But
2020, I watched. I remember that because it was like COVID. It was cool to see people back in the stands. That was
I didn't even watch that, to be honest with you. But that's what I'm saying. It's more difficult for me to watch. It's more difficult for me to watch postseason after the Yankees get eliminated rather than if they're not even in it at all. So,
yeah, I get it. Listen, I'm not against like flipping it on. Like if I'm browsing through the TV and I'm looking to like watch something, sure, I'll throw it on in the background. But there's no part of me that'll ever root for another franchise.
It's fair. No, it's fair.
I said that quote last time, a couple weeks ago. If my opponent were drowning, I'd stick a hose in their mouth. Like I have no remote interest in any success for any team. Like, dude, we'll talk about I think a little bit later with the Rangers roll call. But I'm a fucking hater for teams that aren't the Yankees. Like
do you want to talk about that now?
I mean, sure, if you want to sneak it in real quick. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I
Touch
just
on it.
think, okay, I will, but I just want to say this. Like, I don't like to see other fan bases happy. I'm an asshole like that. When it comes to baseball, dude, I like to see others fail and other teams be miserable, especially when the Yankees are. Like, first half last year, dude, like I'm watching Quick Pitch every night. Oh, I love baseball, greatest game in the world. But a season like this, it's like, the fuck you so happy for, bitch? Why are you so happy? I hope your team
Yeah, I don't.
collapses and fails. Like, I don't want any team to win the World Series this year, Pat. Anyways, on the topic of the roll call, so for those who didn't see, the Rangers, they had this whole little, like, you know how fan bases have their cliques of like, you ran out of section, like you call yourself some corny ass name.
Yeah,
They did that. And they're running a roll call. And I just think it's whack, dude. Like, I understand, it's a free country. You can do what you want, but you're kind of being a poser. You're free to do it, but it's kind of lame. And I was very happy to see on Twitter, a lot of other fan bases were calling them out for it, calling them posers. And somebody said to me when I called them losers, the Ranger fans, they're like, you're just mad because we're the new Yankees. Like, all right, relax. Not the new
okay.
Yankees. You have yet to win a World Series title in your entire history. I know we've been kind of going through it, but let's not act like we're on the same pedestal here. Let's calm down a little bit. You're not the Yankees.
I know, but I look at it from this perspective, right? The Rangers are obviously a franchise that has been awful for God knows how. I mean, they've been a bad team for like 6 or 7 years. And they're finally having a good season. They're gonna make the playoffs. They might even win the AL West. And brother, their fans are having a little bit of fun. They do the roll call. Yankee
Screw them,
fans
dude.
don't own the roll call. They're not the only team
We
that
kind
can.
of do though. Like, I
Yeah,
understand
I
other
mean,
teams have
it's
done
what
a
they're
roll call
known
for
for.
sure, but that is our thing. The roll call
It's
is our
our
thing.
thing, but that doesn't mean that other fan bases can't do it for the hell of
No,
it.
they can do it. They are
It's
absolutely allowed to do it.
gatekeeping. That
They are
that's
allowed to
exactly
do
what
it.
you call
They're,
gatekeeping.
they're allowed to do it. I'm just allowed to criticize them.
You are, yeah. They're allowed to do it, and you're allowed to criticize. It's.
I by no means am I suggesting they should be thrown in jail,
I'd hope not. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
but listen, dude, I there's this Rangers page that I've been following for years, like going back to 2017. Like, we just been boys. Like, fan page community often will stick together and just be cool with each other. I unfollowed the dude today because he was just gassing up that section so much I couldn't take it. God damn, bro. You know what it
Wow.
is?
Okay.
And I was probably real last thing. I was probably like this in 17, but good God, when a fan base gets good again, and all the power too, because it is a good feeling. Once again, 17 was awesome. But I remember the Padres when they first got good, like in 2021. That first year of success after being bad for a little bit, oh God, it turns you into the most obnoxious motherfuckers of all time. And once again, I'm
Yeah.
guilty of it too. I was the same way in 2017 as a Yankee fan. Because
I
that
can't
first year,
relate.
dude, you get that. What do you mean? You
I'm
don't think
happy
so?
for other like
No,
when the
I'm like
Phillies were good last year, bro, for the first time in a while. Like it made me happy to see their fans like really appreciating the run. You know,
well, Phillies fans, I have the utmost respect for. I think they are borderline the class of the league next to us when
very
we're good.
hated by the
I
way.
think, well, for all the right reasons, or in terms of, I back up Philly. They have phenomenal fans. They're passionate. They're crazy. They're sometimes violent. I think that's
Phillies
the way to be
Avenue.
as a. No, fuck the Phillies, but their fan base. I think Philly fans, like the bad rep they get, all the things that people say bad about them, is to me like why they're so awesome. I think they're
It's
incredible.
fair. Yeah, and I love Bryce Harper. So I'm Phillies fan base, please adopt me this postseason. But yeah, now the topic 2.5 is done. Let's get into what
Okay, that's going a
what's
little
the issue?
far, bro. Like, what do you
Why? I
mean
want to be
adopt you?
adopted
No,
for a month.
no, why? Oh, damn, bro. So your family gets a little bit poor, and you want to ditch to like the Johnsons down the street who are rich for the moment.
No, I'm gonna go on vacation though with the family that might be a little bit more well off.
Okay, well, we should equate this to like a marriage situation. So you're just gonna go on vacation
I'm
with the
getting a
smoke
hall
show down the
pass.
street. Yeah,
Yes,
okay, all right,
yes.
and your wife's cool with that. All right,
No,
I
but
see the
did
way
I
you roll,
say I'm
dude.
gonna shed a tear if the Phillies win the World Series? No, but they're gonna be the team I'm rooting for.
They probably be the team I least. I mean, any NL team. I don't care about NL. Might as well not exist. It doesn't bother me. I'm strongly rooting against any American League team. Let's move on, Pat.
Let's go Blue Jay. Okay. Topic number. Let's talk about Michael King. A
Yeah,
little positive note coming from the Brave series. He tossed 3 2/3 scoreless innings. The Yankees are kind of testing the waters with him, stretching him out a little bit. And Michael K mentioned, or David Cohn, one of the two, they mentioned on the broadcast on Wednesday that maybe the Yankees are trying to stretch him out to be a starter to enter the 2024 season. It got me thinking a little bit whether or not this would be a good idea and whether or not I'd be down for it. Just because it kind of feels like Clark Schmidt 2.0, and it's kind of worked, but also we saw Michael King struggle so much as a starting pitcher. It's like also Jabba Chamberlain vibes at the same time, right? Like if something's not broken, like we don't have to try to fix it. I think I prefer Michael King in the bullpen because that's kind of where we've seen the most success out of him. However, if the Yankees go into 2024 needing a spot to fill in the rotation and their bullpen has an extreme amount of depth, I'm here for it. And if that's what your plan is going into next season, I would like to experiment with that going into September. So going into
Mm.
September, make Michael King a starting pitcher, right? That whether he's going like 4 or 5 innings, that's what you want to start him off with. Cool. And Luis Severino takes Michael King's spot in the bullpen. Maybe he piggybacks off of King. Maybe he just comes in when the Yankees are down by 7 in a game. I don't know. But I think if there was ever a time to experiment with things, it's now in a lost season. This is the time to experiment rather than on opening day in 2024, where hopefully we have a brand new roster and we're looking to win a World Series. I'd like to see them experiment with that currently.
I mean, I think for this year it makes total sense. And you say, like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Well, this year it is broke. We don't really have a choice. And yeah,
But
it was
King
nice to
isn't broke, you know? So
no, of course not. But in terms of the Yankees roster and their pitching situation, talk about the bad luck. Like, they are fucked right now. Even if we had the best offense in the world, like, we are in a shitty spot with our starting pitching. So you really don't have a choice. As for next year, dude, this is where I'm absolutely good. I don't want to be going into next season riding on an experiment on Michael King. Now, the idea that he is able to be like a hybrid reliever and starter, that's nice to have in your back pocket. But I don't think we should forget, like, this dude for the last 2 years has been one of the better relievers in baseball. And while the Yankees can, brew up good relievers out of nowhere, and that's one of the few things they're good at these days, losing King as an elite reliever a multi-inning guy to a starter who, let's say things work out good. What is he, a 5 innings, 2-run guy? Maybe 5 innings, 3 runs guy. It's not like he's going to, like, that ERA, that 2.3 he has in the bullpen or whatever it may be was last year. And yeah, 2 ERA in the pen last couple of years. That ain't going to transfer the starting rotation. And I don't want to be riding into next year on a question mark, which right now, early discussion of the rotation, you're looking at Cole, Rodon, Herman, Nestor, Schmidt.
do you
Now,
think Herman comes back next year? I mean,
yeah,
obviously a
I
lot of
think
it
so.
depends on his rehabilitation, but
Yeah, I mean,
I
that's all
think
going
it's
to,
tough to rely on him right now.
well, regardless, I think you need to address a starting rotation, period. I mean, Rodon, can you count on him? One, he's your number 2. That's concerning to begin with, but also the injuries. Nestor now, this whole year is injury riddled for him. Can you exactly count on him? Also, you don't know for sure. Is he 2022 next year getting back when he's healthy, or is he what he saw the first month or two of this season? So the rotation period is concerned going into next season. And I think if you add King to that, it's not like it exactly secures any of those worries you may have had. There's so much work. I don't know if that little face you just did covering your face was about this, but I hope it was, because Pat, there's so much work to be done this
No, it
offseason.
was
It
because
blows my fucking mind. What I don't know what you do to this team. I mean, I kind of do because I'm a genius and I'll do a video this offseason or after the playoffs. But everything needs to be addressed. Probably besides the bullpen, you could kind of trust the Yankees there, and I think they should keep King in the pen. But the lineup needs an overhaul, and suddenly I feel like the rotation probably needs some sort of an overhaul too. Everything after Cole. So no,
yeah,
I like it for this year. Sure, do what you got to do because you really have to do it. But no, I think King is much better suited, and I know he wants to do it, which helps. Like, he pushes hard that he wants to be a starter, but no, not for next year.
to be honest, it didn't really hit me how much of a question mark the entire Yankees rotation is outside of Cole entering next year until you just mentioned it now. I didn't even think of
Mm-mm.
it, bro. It's it's
And the
very
Herman thing is a
reminiscent.
valid thing to bring up too. Like, you don't know if he's going to come back to you. I
No,
do, but it's such a valid. Like, if you were to say you think he's not, that's many people would assume you're on the right side of this question that he's not
yeah,
coming back.
and entering 2024, the only 2 guys I have really like locked in that aren't major question marks are Cole and Schmidt
Yeah,
isn't a number 2
he has to
by
remain the
any
5,
means.
in my opinion, for him to be like an effective starting pitch in the rotation, because he's been a nice
I
story. Not even a nice story. He's been good. He had like 13 or 14 really solid starts in a row without allowing any more than 3 runs. But still, how deep does Clark often go into games? I mean, it's usually a 5 or a 5 1/3, maybe 6 at best. He's a fifth. He's a nice fifth starter. You can't go into next year with him like as your 3. You got to address the rotation. You have to.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like if you test out Michael King as a starting pitcher in this last month or so of the season, and he proves to you that he can be good as a starting pitcher, I don't hate riding with him going into next season, especially because you look at how bad the rotation can be. When on the flip side, bro, if it's like the opposite of this season, everything goes right next season, you're looking at like 3 aces, right? But you can't rely on that. So
Well,
if my 1 through 5 is Cole. Rodon, question mark. Nestor, question mark. Uh, Schmidt, King, and then Herman, question mark. I'm okay with that.
See, I don't think you would go King over Herman. I
Well,
think,
no. I put Herman at the end there just because like I'm still unsure, like even if he's going to be
yeah,
available
I
entering.
would like the idea of King next year. I really like having it in your back pocket. Like I said, I think maybe if you have your starting
But he
five
needs to have a
and
role,
then,
right? Like you don't want to go
well,
into next
that's why
season
it's
being
it's an
like,
easier transition for him for a couple of reasons. One, he has the arsenal for it. He's not some 2-pitch bullpen pitcher. Like he has 4 pitches. He could be a starting pitcher with that. And the fact that his role in the pen is, we've seen him go 3 innings out of the pen before. I mean, not talking about tonight because he's obviously in the process of being stretched out, but just generally speaking, Michael King as a Yankee reliever is a 2 or 3 inning pitcher sometimes. So the transition is going to be much easier. Like it's definitely possible. And the fact that he comes from a starting pitcher background, I like the idea much more of you have your established 5 and then maybe have your traditional 6, like I don't know, Randy Vasquez has looked good and say he has a good spring, whatever, 6 starter. But then after that, instead of going to the very depths of your rotation depth, go to King. Like just knowing you have it in your back pocket, I think it's a good thing. I would not plan around it though that he should be a starter for a couple of reasons. Like I said, like you don't know exactly how good it's going to turn out. It'll translate to another 2 ERA starter, and you'd be losing an elite reliever in the pen.
what if you just enter in 2024, you just re-sign Sevy and have him be a rotation option?
I wonder what's going to somebody's going to fix him too, by the way. So be
Oh,
ready for
bro,
that.
he's going to be a Cy Young candidate next year.
So weird.
He's going to go to
So
like the
weird.
Reds and become a stud. Watch.
I traded him actually to the Mets in my franchise because he had a good year in my franchise mode in 2023. And I offered him a qualifying offer that I didn't think he would take. He did take it. So I traded him to the Mets. Yeah.
Why wouldn't? Did he have a good year though?
It was
When you offered him that?
he had a good year, but like it started off very similar to how this year started, but he fixed it. He was like 8 ERAs first, like 5 or 6 starts, but then finished with a 3.96 and he finished strong. And they go by overall. So he was like an 87 overall still. You're not
Nice.
interested
No,
in anything I'm saying, dude. I'm done. I'm
no.
done.
I'm so interested in your franchise
Was this
mode, dude.
Michael K now? Are we doing
Yeah,
Michael K?
so this is topic number 4, and this is the one I've been looking forward to all episode. To preface it really quick, Michael K on his show on Wednesday, yeah, he was kind of just talking about, you know what, just play the clip, and then I guess we'll
Well, how
react
about
to it.
you
'Cause I
give
don't
me
wanna...
2 seconds, dude, so I can
Oh,
pull
no,
up what I
I didn't
meant to
want to give
pull
away
up.
all the context of what he was gonna say.
Their collapse in the middle of last year happened when DJ LeMahieu got hurt, where he just couldn't hit anymore. That was a big factor. And then in the postseason, no LeMahieu, no Benintendi, and they tried to rush back Carpenter, who also got hurt. He was carrying the team. Now, they shouldn't be applauded for that because that was not their plan for Matt Carpenter to be the second best player after Judge. But Matt Carpenter was. Then he hurt his foot, and boom, he's out for 2.5 months. And then they try to rush him back without any kind of rehab. So I think they were better than a 500 team, and I think that's why they fooled themselves into thinking we don't have to make major changes. Let's go sign Rodon.
Just being honest, this does sound sort of like excuse making, though.
Well, I don't give a crap what it sounds like. I'm telling you the reasons why it's happening. If you people want to say they're making excuses, I don't care anymore. I'm telling you the truth here. If you think it's making excuses, good, go crap in a lake. Okay. I don't care.
What's the point of the truth? They got it wrong. They always get it wrong.
No, that's ridiculous. They always get it wrong.
That is, over the last few years, they've gotten it wrong.
Really? They went to the ALCS last year. They really got it so wrong. They won the American League East. They won the American League East, the toughest division in baseball. They won 99 games. They always get it wrong.
All right, you kind of get the idea, but I'll chop it up a little bit. What do you think about that, Pat? I think that's good television right there, personally. Go crap in a lake, dude. Go crap in a lake.
Okay. Well, yes, good television. I think the reason why I think that this is such an important video and it kind of trended like crazy on Wednesday is because it's a prime example of all of our concerns about the Yankees front office. And I think Michael K expressed them as an inside kind of, right? He obviously isn't in the Yankees front office, but he's a mouthpiece for them, essentially. And this clip started off with me being like, okay, Kay is basically just explaining the thought process of the Yankees organization, right? Blaming this season on bad luck, injuries, whatever. And then once Peter Rosenberg, who I find myself not agreeing with often, but now I do, when he called him out saying that it kind of just sounds like excuse making, a switch flipped for K, and he became so defensive to the point where it's embarrassing. Like, I would say if Michael K watched this clip back, he should be embarrassed. And it looks like he's throwing a tantrum because he feels like he's being pressed for making excuses for the New York Yankees, which obviously is something that he does on a regular basis. And I think he's just very defensive about it. And also, I'm sitting here and saying, I understand why he might make excuses for the Yankees sometimes, right? If the Yankees sign my checks, I might feel the same way. But also at the same time, I can't see myself putting myself in a situation where I have to hold back what I say and I have to change my narratives for the sake of who's signing checks for me. Does that make sense in any way? So
yeah, no, it makes sense. It definitely makes sense. I know what you're saying. But I really got to clarify, K goes at the Yankees a lot. Like, I watch this clip live on Habs. I watch the K show every single day. He's been ripping on them for weeks. What? No, I mean, there's certain things he won't go to a crazy extent and, like, rip them the way fans do, of course, where K does make a mistake often. And this is kind of what Rosenberg was calling out. He more often than not will, instead of explaining his opinion on the team, which he does do, but more often than not, he explains coming from the Yankees' perspective and why they do things. So quite often that can come off like that's him justifying it, which I don't think that's ever really the case. And I think him kind of like letting loose there and tweaking is just a culmination of like how angry he's been. A lot of times people look at K really as like the poster child of like, yeah, like sending messages through the organization or like being I don't know, what was the word that you just used? Like, yeah, sure. Like
the mouthpiece.
Yeah, the mouthpiece.
Yeah.
And I think that drives him insane. It would drive me insane too, because for somebody
that's what you signed up for.
Right. But for somebody who is paid by the Yankees, he criticizes them a shit ton. Like, it'd be one thing if he like was a complete and total shill. I don't think he is at all. He just won't phrase things in a way that fans will phrase things. He'll criticize them, but he'll do it with a little bit of nuance. And one thing I'll say that he definitely, if there's an area he doesn't go at, it's criticizing Hal. He won't really criticize Hal. And that to me,
also Cashman, he like when asked.
No, he does criticize Cashman. though.
No. When I say he won't criticize Cashman, he will never say that Cashman is the problem and that he needs to be replaced. He will never call for someone's job, which like I get because you're like a part of the organization. You're not gonna root for your boys to get fired. But I think that's what can come across sometimes as very annoying is that he plays that what's that word? He kind of plays both sides. He's very cautious in the way that he criticizes the Yankees, and it becomes annoying because it's like, what side are you actually on? It feels like you're playing both sides. So I don't know. I watched this clip, and I think it's a prime example of why I'm personally not a fan of Michael K. I can't sit back and watch him just throw tantrums like this. I mean, bro, honestly, like you listen to him talk to callers sometimes, and if they say something that he doesn't like, he will just rip them to absolute shreds and hang up before he gives them an option to respond back. But I just think this as a whole is feeding into all of our worries about the Yankees. And if K is the one who's saying that this season is kind of a failure because DJ got hurt and Rizzo got a concussion, that's obviously what the Yankees are feeling. Because at the end of the day, like we've said, he's a mouthpiece for the organization. And I feel like what he's saying is what Yankee fans want what the Yankees front office want the fans to hear.
Well, no, that's exactly what he's doing. He doesn't shy away from that. Like I said, he's explaining from the Yankees' perspective why they do the things they do, which this was a bad clip. Like, I remember watching it live, and I remember saying this is going to get clipped and it's come off much worse than it is because K the whole time was bashing the Yankees and what led to this point, like how the Yankees got to this just terrible position with their franchise. But in this 2-minute clip, especially the part where he's about them being wrong, and in a way I know what he means. Like, the Yankees aren't a dumpster fire of an organization. To us, they are. I mean, there's two ways you can look at it. Like, with us fans and our expectations, it's World Series or bust every single year, as it should be. But also in terms of them doing everything wrong, they're not the Pittsburgh Pirates. I mean, they're not like, in terms of an MLB franchise, a complete and total dumpster fire.
No, they're not the Pittsburgh Pirates. They're not. The standards are so much higher. You know what I mean?
No, of course.
So in Yankee standards, yes, everything has been a complete failure. And that's why when he brings up, they were one of the final 4 teams last year. They won the American League East, the toughest division in baseball last year. The fact that he's touting those as accomplishments is sickening to hear, bro. You don't
He's
think
just saying that they got close. No, I Because
The
I
fact that
know
he's gassing them up in that
I'll tell you
aspect.
this. I'll tell you this. If I just watched this clip, I would think so, yes. But I know exactly where Kay stands, and he criticizes the Yankees a lot. He's criticized Brian Cashman a lot. I know how he feels. This is not exactly it. I don't know if you've seen him on Twitter the last few days. Like, people are driving him fucking crazy, and that was just coming to a head. Kay is by no means satisfied with what's happened to like this Yankees team at all. He's very displeased. He's
You
not.
sound like Kay's mouthpiece, bro.
Kay's I'm not gonna shit. People call me like a Yankee boy, like, and that's just not true. With Kay, Kay's my guy. Like, I will defend
No,
him
you're a
till
mini
death.
Michael Kay. You are.
I love Kay. No, Kay's the fucking man. Like, hey, we're cool, bro. We're homies. Me and Kay. He shouted me out on the show before. Actually, oh, dude. I mean, I have to
Well,
just
that's
have
because
to
you
play a
tweeted
clip
at
now.
him like every day, bro.
No.
No. Don't make me pull up screenshots because there's definitely like tweets of you being like, "Oh, right on the ball as you always are, Michael."
Oh, okay, maybe. I mean, maybe,
You
but
know-
that's not what started our relationship. Anyway, so here's a clip from the Kay show. I don't know, sometime in 2022.
Love Dan, big Yankee fan. He's the editor at John Boy Media. Okay. He said, we love the Death Star. So I guess there's some fans that love it. That's stupid. Yeah, you're gonna have to go through me if you're gonna call out Dan.
You hear that from our dogs? We got each other's back. So I have his back. And I truly, though, all bullshit aside, I know where Kay stands, and he's not like cool with any of this shit. But at the same time, it makes sense. Like, the dude does have a job. He does have a Hal Steinbrenner who pays his checks. He's not going to come out like a total imbecile and roast him like some fan on Twitter does.
Yeah, I don't like him.
I'm using this word a lot, but like, there's a certain nuance you got to go about it. And that's just what Kay does. He sends essentially the same message, just in a much nicer tone while still yelling. But
yeah, no, I'm not a huge Michael Kay fan. Like, we know this, but also like to play the opposite side of where I'm coming from. Like I said previously, the Yankees don't sign my checks; they sign his checks, and I don't know. I can't relate to what his perspective is. Like, if I was boys with Brian Cashman for the past 30 years, I probably wouldn't be calling for his job either. You know,
he's
what I
not
mean?
boys with Brian Cashman. He's not.
Bro.
Steinbrenner, yes.
No,
Hal,
no.
yes.
When I say boys, I mean like they know each other on a very personal basis.
Hal, yeah, no, he's cool with Hal. He's not like that with Cashman. Cashman is not some really.
You think him and Cashman aren't cool?
I'm sure there's a mutual respect, and to an extent, yes, he doesn't roast Cashman like I said the same way that people do on Twitter. But I don't need him to. He criticizes the hell out of me, and also it works because you have Don there, and I guess you could say Peter, which Peter has the most generic and easy takes of all time, so he doesn't really interest me.
I don't even think he's like
Although,
is he a sports fan? Because I know he does like WWE.
I like Peter a lot. He is much more in the football scene. Like, he talks a lot about.
He does like hip hop too, no? Doesn't he do Hot 97?
Yeah, he does, and he's good with that shit. He has a good generic knowledge of like sports and how
everything,
like, pop culture works. No, he's very well versed. He's very well versed, and for somebody who is so well versed, like he knows more about like he would be a star on like ESPN television for baseball, right? Because like they don't know shit. For what he knows, like the generic knowledge, he actually does pretty okay. But compared to like Kay and Don, it's really not there. So he's always bothered me in that regard. He's a nice dude. I don't listen to his Yankee takes. But Don does often play the role of the fan. So it's not like you're getting a straight message. Like, if you think it's Kay's propaganda, it's not just some straight shoot message from him. No, you have Don to bounce off of him, which they often do clash about this. Don's fucking awesome. They're both awesome.
I like him. Okay, I wouldn't go that far.
No, Michael Kay's the man. Don LaGreca is the man. And Peter is pretty cool too. I just don't like his Yankee takes.
Bro, it's funny because I tweeted something out about this and someone responded. They were like, well, there aren't many other options out there. And I just responded with the Yankees Avenue Show. Because, bro, let's be honest, out of any show out there that's giving takes, we give the best. Just saying.
We do give some pretty damn good takes, dude. I'm ready for like, you know what I feel bad about real quick? And we got to get to topic 5 and do it quick. I feel like I've become so bad at like analyzing how bad this Yankees team is because I'm so done with it in a way. How much more can you say?
Yeah, like, that's exactly where we are.
Yeah, no, like, because, okay, we have the Red Sox this weekend. And let's just say we lose 2 out of 3. What do I say on Monday? I mean, Monday will be fun. So let's say a week later or whatever the fuck. When
Tuesday.
Yankees lose a series. What else is there really to be said? This team sucks. Hot take, Dan. Like, that's almost a fault of mine, dude. I'm so opposed to giving, like, an easy, obvious fucking take in a way. But, like, what more can be said? Or, like, the Yankees suck.
Okay, well, okay. Let's not say that because then people are gonna be like, well, then why should I tune into the show? The show is gonna be entertaining.
Brutal honesty. No, I know exactly. No, we're
always gonna have stuff to talk about.
We made a little Google Doc today, bro, and I was saying in there like we got to come up with some ideas for like maybe like the latter half of the show for the next 6 weeks to keep shit entertaining and fresh and maybe a little bit unique. So if anybody has any ideas, because the first couple topics are always going to be hardcore Yankees for the rest of the season. But I'm not going to lie, bro. Like, we may have to get funky over this next month.
Yeah. No, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
I think it's going to be a blast.
Yeah, especially Tuesday's episode. Make sure you're here for that.
Yeah, let's.
But yeah,
topic
number 5. Let's talk about Ben Rudda, real quick. Former Yankees prospect. He's been out of the organization for a couple years now. He basically came out and said that the Yankees aren't teaching baseball anymore. He brought up a story from spring training in 2020 before the season shut down, where the Yankees were playing a game and the only way to score a run was to either hit a ball 95 miles per hour plus or walk or something like that. And basically brought up just how since 2018, the Yankees have been so analytically driven that they're not even teaching the fundamentals anymore, whether that's running the bases or just simple stuff. And if you look in the grand scheme of things, it seems like it might be the truth. When you look at how the Yankees have performed as of late. Are you pulling up the video for this one too, or are we just talking about it?
Well, I'm gonna play the video probably in post, so no, I'm not gonna play it live.
Okay. But yeah, so I don't know. I think it might come across as like, oh, a prospect being upset that he's no longer in the organization. Let me bash the Yankees when they're down, whatever. But I think that this is actually a very interesting perspective because we're talking about a guy who was in the Yankees minor league system for quite a few years. And was able to experience the transition before like pre-heavy analytics, which was like 2017 prior, according to him, and then heavy analytics, where it was the only reliance 2018 to now, kind of. And I find his perspective very interesting, and I think it's valuable, bro. And I think it kind of just like feeds all of our darkest concerns that the Yankees are so analytically driven, which don't get me wrong, I think analytics have a place in baseball, but I think they have relied on it too much to the point where they kind of lost control of who they actually are and the human element of the game of baseball.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are starting to finally realize that you need a good blend of both. You need to mix analytics and you got to mix the old-fashioned way of playing baseball. Ben Rudda, I'll say, I mean, first of all, just to get this out there, it is quite funny that, he mentions Yankees win hardcore analytics in 2018, right? 2018 on. That's when he started to hit. Finally, you look at his OPS pluses by year. 2016, 60, terrible. 2017, 85, terrible. Then 2018, when the analytics came into play, bumped up to a 124, well below above average. Next year, 113. So he actually became a better hitter when the Yankees apparently implemented this whole system. And yeah, as for that drill, and I'm not going to gas this whole thing up. I'm not going to go against Ben Rudda like crazy because initially when I saw this, I was like, wow, this is kind of interesting. This is a big story. You think about that game he mentions. How bad really is that? I get the whole hate for analytics and like we're maybe taking things to a crazy extent, but the game is hitter versus pitcher. Hitter has to, hit a ball either 95 miles an hour better or walk to get a point. If he doesn't do one of those two things, he doesn't get a point or loses a point, however it works. I mean, that's a pretty okay philosophy of like a hitting drill, I would think. Either hit the ball hard or take pitches you shouldn't swing at. That's not all that outlandish to me. I think it's a lot more of an issue of the Yankees minor league hitters are so good. Honestly, they are. They have developed some good minor league talent. It never seems to translate to the big league level. And I think that's where you kind of get lost a little bit of, all right, like maybe the foundation's there, how to create good hitters, which we've seen them, even have initial success in the big leagues, but it quickly goes away. I don't have the answer for why that is, but whatever they're doing, I think they're doing a better job than people give them credit for in the minor leagues. But in the end, it doesn't mean jack shit because by the time they get to the major leagues, it pretty much all goes to nothing. So whatever the issue may be, there's some sort of an issue in terms of formulating actual big league talent. Because, I mean, you look at the last 10 years, what Yankee hitter have they successfully developed? Aaron Judge, and then you could say Gleyber Torres. You could say Gleyber. It's been a nice above average player.
Oh, yeah.
Am I missing anybody? I mean,
Gary.
I fucking love Gary. But no, dude, it's whatever there is, there's an issue of some fashion. I don't know if it's because they're too analytic. Hell, maybe it's because they're too old-fashioned now, too. I mean, they brought in a lot of – their worst year now is also coming in a year where they've brought on more old heads than they ever have in a prior season. I'm not saying that's the reason at all, but whatever it is, there's certainly an issue. And that's just maybe to wrap up this whole episode. Whatever's going on, whatever you're currently doing, the system you have in place, newsflash, it's not working. So we need to do an overhaul. You need to, and like what Don LaGreca said, reimagine Well, I'm more so talking about the franchise as a whole. And my bigger concern is much with the big league roster, which that issue stems from, I know, broken record, not having good enough players. That's Brian Cashman's job. The big league roster does not have good enough players. And it goes well beyond like developing talent. I mean, they just haven't acquired good enough players from the outside as well. So overall, like from the bottom up, it seems, barring, the prospects in AA and AAA panning out, which would be a surprise compared to the last round of prospects went, like everything needs to be changed. Everything needs to be changed. Total overhaul this offseason. Fire everybody, clean house.
Okay.
Yeah. And what's dude, like I hope like for the first people watching for the first time, trust me, I'm not like Pat, you know this. I'm not some fan that says fire everybody. But this is a clean house sort of vibe. No, a complete opposite. Complete opposite. And I feel more bad and like for Boone. I really do. I know you probably don't feel the exact same way, but
no, I don't.
He's gonna be the scapegoat, dude. You like it's
but it doesn't matter. I think that I don't think he should be the scapegoat, but I do think that it's time to go. Like you haven't won a World Series with this team that seemed like they were on path for multiple World Series after 2017.
I don't even disagree with that. No, I agree with that, but it's so much more the scapegoat thing. Yeah, sure, he's been a failure. I know you love that word. Yeah, it's obviously been a failure, no question. But it means nothing if Cashman doesn't go. And further on beyond
because he's going to replace everything Boone with another.
Exactly, 100%.
I want to read this Boone copycat.
I want to read this quote that apparently was from Theo Epstein after he left Boston, which, forgive me, I don't know too much about the history there. I guess he voluntarily left. But anyways, here's what he said. It's so interesting. He goes, football legend Bill Walsh, used to say that coaches and executives should seek change after 10 years with the same team. The theory is that both the individual and the organization benefit from a change after so much time together. The executive gets a rebirth and the energy that comes with a new challenge. The organization gets a fresh perspective and a chance for true change that comes with new leadership. And it kind of gives me George Washington vibes. Shit, even if things are going well, dog, you only get 2 terms. And things aren't going well right now at all. So you have the fact that Cashman has been here for 30 years. You probably need a new change to begin with. And dude, it's just fucking not working out. How much more do you really need?
Yeah. And bro, speaking of Theo Epstein, a lot of people have been calling for him to be the Yankees' next GM. And I'm not opposed to it at all.
I mean, how could you be? It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
But I'll do anything to win a championship, most things. But there is a little bit of it that reeks like, like he's the guy that saved Boston. He's going to be the guy that saves us.
Saved Chicago.
Which helps. The fact that he saved Chicago, yeah. No, I mean, shit, dude. If he, like, his Hall of Fame case is already established more than anybody, any other executive. Like, it's insane. But, dude, if he comes in here and won with the Yankees, dude, it'd be epic to get Theo Epstein in here.
It would be awesome. I mean, just everything about it, bro. Just entering the season with a brand new GM, entering the offseason with a brand new Shohei Ohtani would be.
Or what you could do
is that, right?
Well, once again, that comes down to Hal if he's willing to.
No. Shohei Ohtani would be a Yankee because Theo Epstein would
like work some
splash, bro. And like Ohtani would realize, the Yankees have new leadership. Like, maybe shit's going down in New York now. I genuinely think the only way Ohtani is going to be a Yankee is if the Yankees have a new GM. Because they're going to need to make something happen like that.
What would be interesting would be, and this is something I was asking for last year, if the Yankees were to, or if Howe was like, because his little butt marriage with Brian Cashman, that's not going anywhere, let's just assume. Maybe you promote him to technically like a higher position, if you will, like he's just president. I think right now it's just like he's GM and VP. Well, like remove the GM title, keep him around, and that VP title or just president title, whatever you want to do. Screw Randall Levine, I don't know. But you could also maybe bring in a Theo or have him overlook Cashman. Like, maybe you have some sort of a dual GM, which that's happened before. I'm pretty sure Houston did it when they had Click and Lunau or some situation like that. Like you could have theoretically 2 high executives.
Well, it's like an assistant GM, I guess.
Yeah, but Theo ain't going to be no assistant, so it'd have to be.
No, he'd really have to
work it around. I think he'd be above Cashman, or else he wouldn't come in. I don't know if he'd want to come in. Period. I'm so sold. Dude, I would love it to death. Bro, I was really on my old head shit the other day when the Yankees lost to after losing to Miami. I looked up how old Joe Torre was.
He's like in his late 80s, I think.
82. He's 82.
Yeah.
And I looked up how old Tony La Russa was when he came back, and he was 77. Just an imaginary world. Imagine if Torre came back as manager.
Last thing I want to say on this topic, I saw a lot of people on Twitter, while a lot of people are being like Theo Epstein, I've seen some people about Jeter. Jeter being the Yankees' next GM. And I
not
actually
happening.
tweet out, I was like, there's no way anyone actually thinks that this would be a good idea. And Gary Sheffield Jr. responded, and he's like, well, what tells you that it wouldn't be a good idea? And I thought about it for a second, and I genuinely think that going into next season, I would prefer Brian Cashman as Yankees GM over Derek Jeter. I think the lack of experience, and I know he was the owner of the Marlins for a couple years. It obviously didn't work out too well, but I think the lack of experience as an MLB GM, I think throwing him into the fire, while the Yankees are still technically, are they in a World Series window next year? I don't know, but I think bringing Jeter as the Yankees GM is one of the laziest, casual,
Exactly.
dumb takes
It's a
that
third
I
grade
can
take.
even. It's horrible, bro.
It's some shit, bro, that like you're at your like cousin's house and little Jimmy
Yeah,
happens to like
like Jeter for
baseball.
manager
No,
too.
for real, like little Jimmy happens to like baseball, and it's like, oh, Dan, he does Yankee shit over there. Why don't you talk to him about baseball? Like, oh, hey, Jimmy, what's up? Do you think the Yankees should bring in Jeter as GM and that'll fix everything? And then you give him the nice, like, yeah, man, yeah, no, that'd be a great idea.
Yeah,
And by
no,
the
it's
way, I'm
ridiculous.
not even saying like, listen, by no means do I think just because Jeter had a bad like first little stint with the Marlins, which was it even that bad really long term? And he did get them into a playoff spot, and they're set up pretty good now. Which some of the moves did come from Jeter's reign, and he brought in Kim. How do you say it? I'm
Kim Ng,
sorry, it's
Kim
Kim Ng.
Ng,
Yeah.
I think.
Which I guess you could
Who,
say
by the
legend.
way, has
Anyways,
made some great. The Marlins are a fun team.
that's like the Marlins are set up good right now.
Yeah,
So with that said, like regardless, like I don't take anything from Jeter's tenure at the Marlins and be like, oh, he wouldn't make a good GM. Why the fuck would the Yankees make him GM? That would never happen.
yeah.
No, I
He's
think
gonna be at Old Timers Day, by the way, which
which is
is
awesome.
surprising.
That's
Also,
awesome.
yo, this is an off-topic thing, but Old Timers Day, like, who's watching it? Also, why is it
Well, they
so
don't do
late
the
this year?
game
They don't even play
anymore.
game. Like, what's the point? I
No, I need some old time. I like Old Timers Day. I really, really
okay.
do. I like Old Timers Day, and
I
you
like
know,
you.
I like you too. I was gonna say on Jeter, I think he'll have a role with the Yankees at some point, in some fashion.
Special
Not as a
advisor,
coach, but
maybe.
like, I think it'll start. It'll like that's how you'll get him in the door is as a
Yeah.
special advisor, and then maybe work his way up with the executive stuff. I don't really know. I would like the Yankees to get as much of the old guard in as possible. Like I love seeing Pettit again on the replays today, him in uniform. I think it'd be awesome to get
Wait,
Mo
what?
in. Yeah, I mean with the baseball pants on and the like, Pettit's been around. He really has been.
Yeah,
You know,
but
he's
what's his job again?
special advisor Aaron Boone, which means just
Oh
go about your
yeah,
business and
yeah.
do anything. But no, he's around. Like it seems like he's almost at every
No,
single game. He's making
yeah,
road trips.
sure.
I would like to get them as around as much as possible. But here's the thing: don't mean a damn thing unless you get better players, and that's what the Yankees have to
Exactly.
do. I'm so ready for
Exactly.
the offseason, dude. And here's another thing too, because I am starting to transition a little bit to. I have some fingers to point towards Hal, especially for this offseason. Like Hal's on the verge of being on my shit list after this. Like I may have a very different take on Hal after this offseason. But here's the thing.
Well, to clarify,
And I want to
like
explain this
right now, you don't think that he's the problem.
no, because in the end, you give a GM $290 million, you should at the very least
Yeah.
be able to field a fucking playoff team. He's at the be all end all problem. But anyways, the Yankees, as rough a situation they are in, and I know this is kind of some monkey talk, you could fix it by just spending a crazy amount this offseason. You really could plug every hole with money. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it would be very
can you do that?
2009-ish.
Can you do that? Like, yes. I understand there's luxury taxes. I understand you may lose a second round draft pick because of compensation and qualified offers, all that. But in the end, you could completely fix this team just by patching it up with free agency deals. Shit, go sign Hammer Candelario at third base. Shit, if you want to, go sign Lucas
1000%,
Giolito.
bro. And
Start in the starting rotation. Go sign Shohei Ohtani. Like, you could spend money, make this team
Yeah.
better. You could do it.
it goes back to something I saw on Twitter earlier today, and it was like entering the 2009 season, the Yankees had an abundance of question marks, right? Like Jeter was coming off one of the worst seasons of his career. Posada was coming off one of the worst seasons. They just had so many question marks coming out of 2008, the first year they didn't make the postseason, God knows how long. And they went out, they signed CC, Burnett, Tex, Swisher. They brought in all these guys, and they completely changed the team, and all the question marks turned into solidified points. So as many question marks as we have going into next season, if you bring in reinforcements and then also those question marks become exclamation points, Rodon has a great season. Nestor has a great season. Domingo comes back. Rizzo comes back healthy. Stanton has a rebound season. Judge is healthy. Cole has another Cy Young year.
All right.
We're looking at a team that can easily win the World Series in 2020.
Okay. If you have a good free agency, absolutely. Here's my thing. Limit the question marks positionally at least to 2. Rizzo and Stan, you have to expect a bounce back from.
Yeah.
100,000%. DJ is kind of concerning me right now because he's been looking good.
He's done, bro.
But he's looking good since July. I'm very concerned he goes into next year as Yankees starting third baseman. I don't hate DJ now. I like DJ a lot. He's like in terms of likability, he's one of my more preferred favorite Yankees.
Yeah.
But you can't go into next year with this as your starting third baseman. Absolutely not. No chance in the world. Him as
Josh
a bench
Donaldson's
piece
still around though.
But no, they're gonna buy him out for $4 million. But yeah, dude, like Stanton, you're gonna have to ride with next year. Rizzo, you're gonna have to ride with, and I think there's a good chance those two bounce back. Although Stanton is fucking holy crap, his at bats have been horrible. But yeah, bottom line is I don't want to go on to a whole little thing, but patch it up with free agents, screw it, and then yeah, make a couple trades or two. Like we could have a fine offseason if we just spent. It's concerning though because we're entering year 3 since they reset the tax in 2021. So if you do the math, they're headed for another offseason of resetting the tax and cutting payroll. Not an excuse. It's unacceptable.
We'll see.
And that's why I will be ready to roast Hal after this offseason, but not yet because it's all on Brian Cashman for now.
Nice.
Hey, good episode today, man. It was a long one, but
no, I wouldn't say good. I would say great.
Yeah, no, it was a good one. It was good to see you again. It's been too long. Done with my coffee. It's midnight.
Is it midnight?
Socials.
No, it's not. It's
No.
11 o'clock.
No,
bro.
it's 11 o'clock. Where can they find
TikTok
on socials, dude?
and Twitter at Unhinged Patrick, Instagram at True Hennessy, and Yankees Avenue on TikTok, right? Or Yanks Ave Show?
Yeah. No, Yankees Avenue on TikTok. Yankees Ave Show on Twitter, X. Yankees Avenue on Instagram. Yankees Avenue here on YouTube. Subscribe, please, if you are new. Dan on Work on Instagram. Dan on Work on Twitter, kind of. So we got Boston now. Off day Thursday. Back at home against the Red Sox.
Yep. 3-game series. Off day on Monday, and then Tuesday, episode 100, the greatest episode of the Yankees Avenue Show of all time. Make sure you're there, bro.
Yes. We're going to have some fun, bro, the rest of the way. Like, we're done, but doesn't mean the show is.
Yep.
So. All right, yo. Damn. All right. See you guys next time. Let's go, Yankees.
Her